So I've been playing PoE2 all weekend. I've been having a ton of fun. I've got probably close to 30 hours in the game, and my main is level 38, and I've also played around on a couple alts. So I just wanted to share a few tips and tricks that I've figured out in my time played that I think could help out quite a few new players. The first tip I have is what to do with the items that you find. As you can see, all of these are unidentified. Now I could use the Scroll of Wisdom on them, but you can also go to the hooded one here, which you unlock I think a couple hours into the story, and he has an option to identify items. If I click this, he will identify all of these for free. I still have the same amount of Scrolls of Wisdom here, and these are all identified, so I didn't have to do anything. Then at that point, you decide if you want to keep them or get rid of them. Now, assuming I want to get rid of all of these because they are not good for me, I have two options. I can either sell them or disenchant them. So if I go to Zarka here, they'll have an option to buy or sell or disenchant. Now, early game, you might want to sell off some items, or if you're running low on gold, then you can do that. But you can see these aren't worth a ton of gold. So right now, what I'm actually going to do is disenchant them. And by doing that, as you can see, you will get transmutation orbs, and for the yellows, you will get regal shards. So those will then be used to combine to get the currency items that you need to upgrade your items. You hold down Alt over that, you can see that adds a rune socket to a martial weapon or armor. The next tip is just using that Alt key to see what exactly specific keywords are. So if you mouse over this item, for example, hold down Alt, then you can look at any of the underlined words here to get a description of them. The same goes if you're looking at your skills here. They have these underlined words, hold down Alt, and you can see the individual ones. In addition, your skills have what they are classified as up at the top left here. So this is an AoE projectile fire spell. So that will help you determine which supports will interact well with it, which passives will interact with it, all of that. On a similar note, if you select this play button right here, or mouse over it, it will give a description of the skill, and it'll show you a video. The same is true when you're picking skills. So if I use this uncut skill gem, and I'm not sure which of these I want to pick, I can click on Orb of Storms, and it will give me a video description of it. One tip for your support gems is that the recommended gems for any skill will be up here, but you can uncheck the Show Recommended Gems to see every gem that's available, and the ones that are lit up are actually able to be used with this. Now that won't all mean that they are all necessarily going to be good for that skill, but these are the ones that can be used with that skill. The next tip has to do with your passive tree. If you speak to the hooded one here, you can refund passives and come in here and change any of these, and for a small gold fee, refund them. Also, for the nodes that are just going to strength, dexterity, or intelligence, you can click on those and choose one of the other options for, I believe, half the cost as it would be to completely refund it and then reallocate it. So you shouldn't be too afraid to experiment with this, change it around. It does cost a little bit of gold, and that scales with level, but it's not too bad. On a similar note, don't be afraid to experiment with your skills and support gems. The uncut skill gems are very abundant later on. As you can see, I have all of these here, so there's no reason not to try out something new and see if you like it, and if you don't, just put it aside, try something else. Another tip is to check each of the vendors in town, because they often sell really nice items. I'm not sure if we have any really good ones here, but they can sell, like this staff that I got, for example, that came with cold spell skills and freeze buildups, was from a vendor. So, and you can type in keywords here. So let's say I'm looking for wands or any item, I guess, with skills to it. If I type skill, okay, no, this one doesn't have any. But let's say I wanted cold. Okay, this one has cold damage on it. So any keyword that you can type in there, it'll filter it out and show you if they have it. And each of the inventory is different for each of these people here and in different acts. So let me see. This one doesn't have skills either, but this one does. Okay, increased attack speed. +1 level to all projectile skills. So this can be a good way to find items that can be used as a good base and then upgraded with your currency here. Don't be afraid also to spend these because these drop pretty abundantly, and by disenchanting items, you will get more and more of these as you play. The next tip has to do with your options. If you go into options under interface and scroll down to gameplay, there are a few things here, and this may vary depending on your preference, but showing a life and health bar above you can be extremely helpful. It's not showing right here, but if I go out into the world, let me just choose any random zone here. You will see that I have a health and mana bar here. It's a lot more convenient to see this when you're fighting than it is to keep an eye on the values down at the bottom left and right here. Similarly, in your options, you have this show mini life bar above NPCs. You can set this to show it only for your enemies or your allies and enemies. This will make it a lot easier to spot them at times. I also really like this always highlight option. Items and objects such as chests and waypoints will always be highlighted. So, and that means with item drops. So by default, when you have items that are on the ground, they will only be visible for a short amount of time. With that, this option selected, they will remain there. So like this right here. Eventually, this would disappear normally if I turn off that option. But because I have it on, it will stay there forever and I will never lose it. So if I undo this, see, now they're hidden. Now I can't see it. Now it is possible to display those. If I hold down Alt, they show up. But I like just being able to see it without having to, or if you mouse over it, I guess, that shows up too. But I like just seeing it by default at all times. So I keep that option on. You also, I guess, I don't use them, but showing the life and mana levels over here, if you click that, it'll show right above your health, health and mana. You can see right here, life and shield, mana and spirit. I don't necessarily care about the individual numbers, but if you do, they are there. Now the next tip, oh, did I have that option turned off? I did. See, now that's exactly why I keep it on. But the next tip has to do with your map. Let's pretend that I had completely cleared out this zone and wanted to reset it. Say I wanted to farm it over and over again. Now, if you teleport back to town, and then you have to specifically interact with the waypoint itself to do this. But you can reset the instance. So if I were to just go back through there, it would be exactly how I left it. But if I come to the waypoint and I choose the, oops, don't just click on it like I did. This, like I said, takes you back where you just were. But if can I do it from here? Okay, you can. So if you just hold down Control and click on it, it will show you the option to create a new instance. Now I believe if I am actually outside of the zone, so let me go back to town real quick. I believe if I'm outside of the zone, then it will show me my current one and, yes, current and new. So this is the one that I was just in. If I click new, then it will create a new instance and send me to that one. So now this is completely unexplored again. I go around, it's a whole new generated area. Now, one cool thing is that you can actually go back and then re-enter the other instance if you wanted to do that for some reason. So if I select here, control click, now you can see both instances that are open. So this is the one that I just opened, and this is the one that I was in previously. So if I click on that one, it takes me back here, and here's the one I had just been clearing out. Another note on the map itself is that you can see different things on here, such as bosses, these skulls, Tinker's tools. I'm not sure what exactly this is, but these are like key points of interest that you might want to go find out and either kill or just explore and see what they are. And like this one, for example, this plus means that it has a reward that gives you some sort of permanent stat boost. But if they are dimmed out like this one is, that means that you have already killed it. And if they are lit up like this, that means it's still alive and you can go kill it and potentially collect a unique reward. Another important tip has to do with your weapon sets and swapping between them. So you can just hit X to swap between your weapons, but that's kind of a pain to do at times. So it's easier if you just set up your skills to automatically swap to a weapon based on what they are. For example, I have this staff here, this cold staff that has +3 level to cold skills, increased freeze buildup. And then I also have this fire staff that has +2 levels to fire spells and 33% increased spell damage. So I'm going to want it so that my cold spells are always using the cold staff and my fire spells are always using the fire staff. And you will see that in your skills, depending on what staff you have available, you will have different attribute or different bonuses here. So like you can see right now I have my ice staff out and these are boosted up to level 9. If I swap to my other weapon, those would normally only be level 6, but because I'm getting 3 levels from the ice staff, they get boosted. But notice that when I swap between them, Ice Nova, for example, while the level changes, right here where it shows the DPS and the weapon set, that does not. That is because I have set that to always use my first weapon set. So whenever I cast Ice Nova, it will automatically swap to weapon set 1, even if I have my fire staff out. So watch, I have my fire staff, I hit 5 to cast it, and it automatically swaps to my weapon. But look at Fireball, for example, you see that that's not happening. With Fireball right here, it keeps swapping between the two. So if I have my ice staff out and cast Fireball, it keeps my ice staff. And it's only going to do the less damage here. It's not getting the boost that it should from my fire staff. Neither the level here, or the increased spell damage, or the passives that I have set up to automatically swap to fire when I pull out my fire staff. So in order to fix that, you come in here and you click this little arrow, and then down here, used with weapon set. You can choose which weapon set to apply that to. By default, both are selected, but if you undo it like this, now it will only come out with the second weapon set. So if I cast my Ice Nova, it's Frost, and then I try to cast my Fireball, it automatically switches to fire like it should. So I think that about wraps it up. There are a lot of things that I could have included, but these are the big ones that stuck out to me that I think will help a lot of people out. Let me know in the comments below if there's something important that you think I missed, and maybe I can include it in a future video. If this video helped you out at all, be sure to toss it a like or subscribe to the channel. It helps me out a ton and is greatly appreciated. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.